next. Okay.
What's coming?
Right. Now, Jessica Shaw. Okay.
Hi.
We have Amy. Okay.
Amy Antangelo, TV gal.
All right here. Okay. But now something else is happening here. Okay. So this person's going to pop in because they just got through. Here's Matthew Peretta. Dan Rubin is with us.
The cad who took Gabrielle's virginity.
I know.
Yeah. So
cold.
I'm flabbergasted because Matthew, you were supposed to come on. I don't know what's happened. You were supposed to come on with Mark Damon Espinosa, and we were going to lord it over that you were with his wife before he was.
Right.
And technology screws us again. I'm telling you, world, analog was better. You punched a button, something worked.
I'm just happy that I made it through.
I used to not believe that, but it's true. Look at this. It's true. But it's great to see you, sir. You're looking great, Matthew.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So, Matthew, for just we're going to ask you, looking back 30 years later, you had such a significant role on the show. First of all, do you still get recognized for this part of Dan Rubin?
You know, I haven't, but since
thank goodness
quarantine, I grew my hair out. I haven't had long hair for like 25 years, and people are like, "Hey." I'm like, I got my hair again.
So, looking back 30 years later, what is your take on the Beverly Hills 90210 show?
It was a phenomenon, right? I mean, everybody's still talking about it and people are still interested in it. For me, it was something that, I was just beginning. I was just starting my career and I learned so much there. I was terrified when I started, but it was, it's just, people love the characters and they love the show.
Well, Brenda says, damn, you look great, Matthew. So there you go. All of that's happening. All right, Matthew, sorry for this run and gun kind of scenario, but we will catch you some other time. We want to definitely dive deep.
Yeah, because I think that maybe Andrea made a mistake.
I should say, though, Chuck was very insistent that the first guy that Andrea slept with, she should not become married with. So that was why you were kind of the stalking horse in a certain way. You were going to get her ready for the next one.
I mean, we just to get her pregnant like that, it just couldn't be the first time. It was,
we had to get her pregnant. We knew that.
Yeah. So Matthew, definitely come back with us and we will chat more with you down the line. Okay.
Great. Thank you, guys.
You got it, man. Good seeing you. Okay. Matthew is gone and Erin.
Hi, everyone.
Erin is. Okay. So Erin's from Today, right?
Yep.
And Jessica Shaw was with Entertainment Weekly, and Amy
Amatangelo is from Pace Magazine.
All right, and so we're going to drop a little surprise for you guys in here too. Say hello to Christine Elise.
Hi, Christine.
How are you?
She's been very patient. Hanging out with her. Yeah. I'm curious. The panel question that we want to know is to the writers that decided to join us today is why do you think, and then also from BuzzFeed, Brian is also with us. I'm curious, why do you think 90210 is still so popular today? Brian, let's start with you since you came in the room last.
I think because it was like the first real teen show that was also a little glamorous. I think, when it came to teen shows, there was, Degrassi, which was I think at the time, I don't even know where it aired here in the States, but then, this show was sort of a little MTV-ish. It was glamorous. It was about kids in Beverly Hills, and it sort of had a little bit of a dynasty vibe in a way, where it was aspirational and so kind of oh, I wish I had their lives. And I think that aspect of it makes it, very enjoyable. And there's nothing more that you love than hating rich people on TV.
How about for you, Erin? What do you think the reason is?
I mean, for those of us who grew up watching it, it was just one of those generation-defining shows. I started watching it when I was 9 when it first premiered, And at the time, it was really the only teen drama. I didn't have cable and I hadn't seen Degrassi. And so for me, it was like my introduction to teen TV dramas. And the other shows I was watching were like Saved by the Bell and sitcoms. But 90210 was obviously much edgier. It had an authenticity. It was talking about issues I really hadn't seen on other shows. And I was just obsessed with it. It was just the show everyone watched. I watched it every week with my mom, and we would actually take the phone off the hook so we wouldn't have any interruptions during the episode, because that's how we later did for Melrose Place too.
Amazing.
I collected all the merchandise. Like I had the Brendan Brannon dolls. I had trading cards. I had books that were like episodes adapted into novels, and I would, read them even though I'd watched it already. I had Teen Beat posters that worked out and all over my walls. And I also think the characters were very well defined. I think even as the storylines got a little more over the top, I think the characters and their relationships just felt very real, and viewers cared about them, and that's why we're still debating, Brenda versus Kelly all these years later.
Right.
And the dialogue was well written. There are so many lines from it that have just stuck with me, and I, can still quote now. And we were talking about the next 50 years earlier, and I still remember David's whole monologue at the end about, what about my old best friend? It's like so many of those quotes are just kind of, like stay with me. And also just the nostalgia factor. I think watching it now kind of brings back the same excitement I felt watching it for the first time. And it's like reuniting with old friends.
Awesome. Jessica, how about you?
I mean, I think I love this show dearly. I too was 9 when I watched it. I was like 99 when I started watching. But I think unlike every other show, it didn't condescend. It didn't talk down to people. It was like, hey, like we're not just going to have this like Brady Bunch, life of like, hey, Bobby Brady hall monitor. Like it was kind of real. This is friendship. This is Karen. You got me. You saw the hall monitor. This is what friendship is. This is what love triangles are. This is what like having, a talk about sex when you're in high school is. And it was never like pandering, like, and we're going to talk to the kids about what kid life is like. And so, everyone has BS radar, and no one's BS radar went off with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a big compliment.
Amy, what's your thought on that question?
I think my big thing too is how groundbreaking it was. I think we forget how groundbreaking it was and all the topics that it covered. When you think about what over the span of the 10 years, all the amazing issues it took on that I think we kind of take it for granted because shows do that more now. But at the time, that wasn't the case. I think they really, when you think about even, the drug problems, the alcohol problems, cults, sex. I mean, also, I think there's a certain innocence too, right? Like Brenda and Dylan having sex for the first time was a huge deal. That would not be a huge deal on a teen show anymore. I think the other thing is it really is the granddaddy of all shows. I mean, we would not have Dawson's Creek or The OC or any of these other shows without 90210. And I think people don't always know that really what kind of paved the way for people realizing, hey, there's an audience for this type of show. Teens want to see this type of show. Like to Jessica's point, teens want to be treated seriously. And people who are no longer teens but want to remember those years. Because I watched, after I even outgrew the demographic, I still love those type of shows. So, I think all the shows that came after, even like Pretty Little Liars, a whole network, Freeform, like all those things, I think really owe a debt of gratitude for 90210 for kind of laying the groundwork for this type of show and a model for really how a successful soap opera could be for teens and taking their problems so seriously while also really educating the viewers that were so loyal to them. I think the show always bared the brunt of the responsibility of their audience and really took that their audience really needed to hear about these topics in a very serious way, which I always really appreciated.
Christine, I want to ask you the same question about 90210. Why do you think we're all still talking about it?
I think Brian kind of touched on that. Can you hear me very well?
Yeah, you're good.
Brian touched on it earlier with the whole simpler time thing. I think that it was a formative era for a lot of the audience. You guys were really young. I was 26, but you guys were really young. And I think it was a time that people are really nostalgic for, both that period of their own lives and that period in this country when entertainment wasn't the Kardashians and big fake asses and wealth and just fame for fame's sake. It was a much more sort of story-driven entertainment world. And I think people are nostalgic for that the same way I'm nostalgic when I watch an All in the Family. And that was the sort of show that I grew up on. And I think it also holds up really well. And it's an era that also told a chunk of the 70s were a whole different time in America and in entertainment. And that's sort of an iconic show from that era. And I have the same sort of, pitter pat in my heart for that show.
That's awesome, guys. All right.
Another great compliment.
Yeah, how's that guy? For Chuck and Karen and Larry? How do those things make you feel hearing all that stuff?
Well, the only one I would that went really it was you, Brian, because if I had the budget for Dynasty, the show would have been a lot different. It was not Dynasty. There was low budget television in the extreme. No lowest license fee in television. In the first 2 years, you see it. The other thing I really have learned to love about 90210, really love about it, I don't care what episode it is. Most of the ones I produced, you're going to find the boom in the shot. The boom is going to be in the shot. And I tell you, we are the only television show where the boom would be in the shot that would be talked about 30 years later. And I really feel that is a real reflection of my personality and my carelessness.
Yeah, I have one question.
It's like a drinking game. It's, you can watch and you can say when you see the boom, bottoms up.
I wonder for the writers of the press, how come there's no one else has had a successful college show since 90210?
And there was never one before it either, by the way.
That's so unique. I hadn't really realized that until we've been looking again. There's no one has an answer to this, but no one has had one.
No, because when I was in college, I was actually in the theater department at UCLA. And I thought, wow, what a great idea for a series, my life or, college life. And, that was, okay, graduated college. What year did I graduate? 77. So, the problem is that I was told and I had some access and I was told pitching it to people, no, that will never work. And there had never been one. Because the issues that matter to people of that age group are sex, drugs, rock and roll, and we can't do that on network television. That was, late 70s. That's what they thought. They thought the same way in 91, by the way, but we had a little more oomph. We had a little more oomph going in, and we could start to place it in a reality. Reality was behind television, so we tried to bring television a little bit up to what was really going on, or that's what Charles Rosen's main point was, his idea to do.
All right, we're going to say goodbye to our press panel. We have a lot more to get to, but thank you all, and please tell everybody about the Beverly Hills 90210 show.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on 30 years.
Thank you, Jessica. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Christine.
Bye. Bye, Christine.
Oh, hi. Happy anniversary.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
See you later. Okay. Bye. Now we have Lindsay Rosen.
Hi, guys.
I know you.
Here.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
You look just like my granddaughter.
All right, Chuck, tell me what we're talking about here. You have some clips.
Just put it on. Play the clip, and then let's talk.
Okay, let's play the clip. Here we go.
You want to do a little hooky low, huh? Come on. You guys are weak.
Come on, Brandon. Let's go do the hooky low.
Huh? Robbing a cradle there, Brand. Well, at least Lindsay will dance with me. Come on.
That was Lindsay at age 5. In the first season of summer episodes, and
she was 6. She was 6. She was 91. Yes.
Then you're right. She was 6. Sorry, and that was the first of her playing girl number 1.
Couldn't give her a name.
Her name was Lindsay in that episode because Jason named her as he picked her up, which was really, really cute. And a little fun fact, if you do watch that episode when everyone's doing the hooky low, we are in the back row doing the hooky low.
I have that clip too.
Oh.
The hooky lion starts swishing down in old Miami. Oh, we go to a hooky lion.
When the rain beats against my window.
Wrong clip.
Ooh, very cool stuff.
Bad
right?
time code connection. Wrong clip.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it's okay. We had Karen was dancing in the background, and our friends. We saw Steve Wasserman and Jessica Klein in the background, and and others you couldn't see
like
in
that
the shot. But
Yeah.
then we could see in the other where Lindsay's grandmother Helen was there. I was dancing there. Jonathan Roberts, one of our writer producers. So.
I can see a lot of people are saying hi in the comments. I just want to say hi. And it's funny because one thing I hear from fans all the time is I grew up on 90210. And I always say to them, I really grew up on 90210.
Literally. Well, here's somebody else who grew up on 90210.
Yeah. Oh, really? Hi,
Randy.
Randy. Hey there. Hi, everybody.
Oh, nice to
Sorry
see
for
you.
the technical issue there, but it's great to see you, man. It's awesome to have you here on the show. I got to ask you, Randy, what was that like for you growing up, hanging out on the set of 90210?
It was surreal because I got to see the inception of it and backstage, all the behind the scenes, everything coming together. And then I also watched the show as a viewer, as an audience member, and loved it. So I grew up behind the scenes, but I also grew up as a fan. So very
You
surreal.
were the target audience, actually.
Yeah.
I remember your dad saying that Randy and his friends call it the Big Nine. I don't know if you ever did, but the Big Nine in that first year. I remember him telling me
You were a frequent extra on set. I recall.
Yeah, a few times I would be on set and come and watch everyone or go into a party scene. One of the scenes I remember most vividly was the pilot where there was a party scene, and I remember going with my father to set, and he said, "Oh, it's just around the corner. It's somewhere in Bel Air, and we're gonna come with me." And at that point, I had not been on very many sets because all the other shows that he was doing a few years before, Dynasty and Love Boat and all these things, I just was too young to even appreciate what those shows were. So 90210 is my first foray into this magical, glamorous show.
That's awesome, man.
Then of course we got to create a character for him too. He got to play Ryan, which was the half brother of Steve, and it was great. He did so many good episodes, and I think we got you laid in one of them. I hope we did. Anyway, I know we tried to get you laid. I think you might have screwed it up. I can't remember. But
I probably screwed it up.
But you were actually playing Steve Sanders as a young man, because that was always the great conceit of it. Is that Steve would see you screwing up and realize, oh my God, that he's just the same way I was. I got to have a little bit more compassion for him. But yeah, we've been actually, in looking at the episodes, we got a chance to see some of your work. We looked at the New Year's Eve episode. There was some great fun stuff. You had a great feel for comedy. I really appreciated your work.
Did you like acting on the show and being Steve Sanders' brother?
I loved it. It was so much fun. And one of the things I appreciated about the show was everyone was so lighthearted in between scenes that it was fun. You and it was second nature to them. So here I come trying to memorize my lines and get that straight, and my heart's beating fast because, again, I'm not just acting on the show. These are my idols. I'm growing up taking advice of how to date from Luke Perry's character. And so I'm watching this and, heart's beating out of my chest, and everyone's just having fun, having a good time. Ian's cracking jokes in between. Right. So it was great fun.
Very cool.
It's funny.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
It's like Randy's kind of talking about life imitating art. Like I grew up, I was a little younger than the characters on the show, but after episodes would air, my parents would write certain episodes. I sort of grew up along with it. Like I remember when the condom episode aired, we had like my first sex talk was sort of like aligned with that. So I sort of grew up along with the issues that were being written about on the show. And then that's how I had my first exposure to those things. Like in my house growing up.
Well, when I was writing the show, a lot of times, and Karen knows this, you know, it was like, well, we've got these daughters at home and we want to project this image and these stories because in their future. Little did I know that 30 years later, you know, where the culture would spin out to. But I do feel that what we did in your generation, the millennials and those and yours, Randy, you know, you are the future, and hopefully the values that we espoused are now becoming vogue again.
Speaking of them being the future, Chuck, Lindsay, you are writing and doing amazing things on Zoe's. You want to talk a little bit about that show?
Yeah, I'm a writer on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, which is a TV show on NBC, and we're just in the middle of working on the second season right now. The first season premiered last year. I think it's streaming on Peacock or Hulu, so you guys should check it out. It's a really fun musical, drama, comedy, and it's a great time. So I'm honored to be writing for it and, you know, following the footsteps of some great writer genes in my family.
Well, I think it's a show that Aaron would love.
Good. Glad you saw it.
Watch it, Randy, you said?
Oh yeah. It was strange. There was a premiere and then there was a matter of months before the next one.
Yes.
I don't watch that much TV. But my wife and I saw it and loved it. We couldn't wait for the next one to be on. We watched every episode.
That's so cool to hear. I'm so glad.
It's a needed antidote to these times. It really is. It's amazing.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on. Do we have to?
I brought one cool thing, Pete. This is on the wall in my living room for all the super fans watching. This is the original title of the show was called Class of Beverly Hills.
Oh, yes.
And this was a placard from the transportation department that they would have had, you know, on set during the pilot. And I ended up with this. So I just wanted to show all the super fans.
Not for sale though.
Darren Martin, eat your heart out.
Yeah. Listen, also, hey, check out the store. We have a new shirt that kind of plays along with that so well. Thank you for setting me up there, Lindsay. I know you did that on purpose. But this for the 30th anniversary, we thought we'd make a very, very cool classic OG shirt. And I'm going to try to remove that shirt now. As we move on, so many moving parts. Okay, Randy, Lindsay, it was nice having you guys here, and we are moving on. Karen, are you leaving us as well?
I think so. Am I, Charles?
Yes.
I love you, baby.
Love you.
We all love you. Thank you.
Don't tell me the score of the game.
Thank you. I will tell. I won't tell.
Okay, we're all back here now. Chuck, this is moving very fast-paced.
Now we got it going.
Let's check the big board.
We needed a technical rehearsal with all the people. Can you get in? Can you get out? Can you get in? Can you get out?
Yes, exactly. All right, I'm going to show you some more people. Where are they today? And then we're going to jump into our next segment.
What have I been doing since? Since when? Since I got out? Since I broke my knee? Since the fire? Since I got divorced, since I couldn't get back into Mexico anymore. Since is a long time, brother. Did manage to get back in the water, though. Catch a wave and you're sitting on top of the world. Corniest expression in the world. It is so true. I've never felt a rush like that. Not until Suzanne and I took that cool $8 million from sweet little Dylan. I'll tell you, when we saw those funds transfer into our account, my whole body became alive. Talk about sitting on top of the world. I owned the world. Freedom, brother. For a while. I don't think I thought how tough it would be with the kid. Having to watch your back all the time. But was it worth 3 years in jail for the years I spent living the pirate's life? I'll tell you what, I got out and I said, fair enough, tit for tat. And then reality set in. Who are you? What are you? What are you going to do? There's not a lot of teaching or research jobs for an ex-con in his 40s. But I became a hell of a car salesman. Who'd have guessed it, right? Exotic cars. I hated it. Quit. And then I finally managed to get some of my money out of Mexico. Don't tell Suzanne. And I bought this little shack by the beach. Here I am, sitting on top of the world. Yo ho ho.
Okay, that was great.
Kevin,
All right, let's bring our other
crime does pay, I guess.
Zara. Canada is in the house.
You made it.
Wow, you got dressed
You
up.
made it
That's
to
what I
the
wanted to
show.
wear.
We love having you here. And Zara, the reason, much like Darren Martin, the reason why we brought you on the show was because we wanted to tell you that since we started doing this show, we have fallen in love with you. We think that you are an absolutely amazing person. Congratulations on your graduation. And we really do think the world of you here. We think of you as almost our #1 fan. Now, if you recall, I asked you about your favorite guest stars. Do you remember that?
I think I did. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so we're just waiting for her to get into her seat. Okay. Yeah, let's I can see it happening here in the thing. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna put her on the screen. She's not on here yet, but it will be Dana Barron.
Yay.
Hello. That's not Dana.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Dan Barron.
See and hear you. Yes.
All right. I am not Dana Barron.
Yes.
I'm not nearly as good looking as Dana Barron. But I'm helping her set up the camera. So hold on real quick. She's just getting settled. Hold on.
Okay.
And all of us.
Otter, come here.
Come here, Otter.
She wants to see Otter. Come here, Otter. Say hi.
Right.
Oh,
there we go. What a very nice moment. You know what? While we wait for Dana Barron, let's see another awesome person. Where are they today?
I stayed with the FBI after 90210. And my assignment was to find if Jack McKay was alive. And I stayed on that case for 20 years. Until I saw an episode on Hulu from season 10. I immediately resigned from the FBI. And I've been in therapy ever since.
She is. Okay.
Oh,
my God. I love that.
Hi.
Hello.
Stop it.
Dana Barron, meet Zara Brown, one of your biggest fans. Zara, do you have anything that you would like to say to Dana?
Who's speaking? I don't have any questions, but I just want to say I admire you. Your acting on 90210 is like amazing, and I'm just so blessed to like be a part of the show as a fan.
Thank you.
I have no words.
That's amazing.
Wow. I've got goosebumps.
Me too. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dana, 30 years since, well, not since you were on 90210, but 30 years of 90210. Yeah. What is your thoughts on this celebration and on the anniversary?
It's really fun to be part of these anniversaries because, as you all know, I was Audrey in Vacation, and the 40th is coming up not in a very short time. So now at the 30th, I'm doing all these wonderful look backs on our lives and our acting for so long now. It's wild.
Yeah. Do you have any great memories from being on the show, being on 90210?
Great memories, of course. Yes. Do you want like stories of?
Yeah, give me a great.
Having to do with the Louvre. I shared a story recently, had to do with, I was in Paris, and I was with a friend who was a German star, and we went to the museum, the Louvre, and we had more attention than the main paintings there. It was unbelievable, the publicity and the fun and the people. It was wonderful.
Everybody is saying such beautiful things about you here, Dana. Dana looks great.
I was out and I'm like, oh, it's almost 6-ish. Wow. So I look a little ratty and ragged and whatever.
What is your favorite episode that you were able to be a part of?
My favorite, when I was trying to get Brandon to dance, and there was a scene that we had when I was just cute and fun and free-spirited. That's what I was saying. Who is Nikki? A wonderful free spirit, that she dressed the way she wanted to dress. She spoke the way she wanted to speak. It wasn't about the popular. It wasn't about anything but who she was as a person. And I think the fans like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Chuck, do you have any memories of working with Dana back in the day?
Absolutely. You know, I think that in truth, this is just how I look at it. In the last episode that we did, or we did the one Wild Horses, when we discovered that your boyfriend was abusive.
Yes.
That was supposed to be the B story. I wish we could have even cut it more to be the A story, because you were terrific in an episode that was very, very uneven. And I really always and then I've just recently, and one of the things that's so nice about doing this with Larry and Pete, we look at episodes we haven't seen, and I'm, the way that you acted in excitement of how to Brian singing Precious and Few, I think was really, really, you're precious to me, I'm precious to you, we're precious, and you're sitting there going, oh, this is great. Right from the start. And then shifting, of course, from David Silver to Brandon Walsh was
right. Very true.
What are your memories of working with Jason?
He reminded me, sounds silly, I'm from New York City, and he was very outspoken, almost like a Jersey boy. He didn't hold back. He was very honest and very, at that time, I think he's directing now, he was very into looking at the lightings and trying to figure out what was good or not, or he was very directorial and fun, and it just made my part easier.
Yeah.
Because he is just very open to having fun and acting. And I think Chuck remembers I used to try to slip in certain lines that I wanted to do as Nikki and certain way I dressed, because I made my own clothes. I don't know if you remember that. I was always constantly going with the designers to go and then sew my own stuff or make it smaller or big or whatever. And so that was really fun for me.
Mm-hmm, I do. And I remember that you approached us with the idea of having all the cast go to Africa. Do you remember that at all?
Right. African, I still have my djembe in the other room, yes. I was a lead African dancer in New York, and drum and music, that's always been my thing. So, and I was thinking now she'd go to India because of, Buddhism or whatever, be more fun. Who was Nikki now 30 years later? And that's what I was trying to think, who would she be now? What direction would she take? Something in art, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And then how about working with Brian?
I always saw him as the young kid who was very talented in music. And so it was more like, once again, extreme. Everyone was very friendly. And sometimes we were like joking around. I think one time we did Fun Scuffle where we were just like there's these long hallways we used to shoot in, or what would you say, the hangar we shot in? Just fun. Yeah. Fun, but younger fun, but now he feels like he's a man now. But just a young kid. as you know, I was older playing younger, and these days I don't know if you can get away with that. But as there's certain other characters, I won't throw them under the bus, that were older than I was playing the same age. But at that time, I was playing 15, I think.
Right.
With the seniors.
Well, listen, Dana, Zara, thank you both for popping in here. Much appreciated. We are going to move along. We have a lot more to get to. Dana, you look absolutely stunning as always. So thank you.
Thank you. It's like literally running around like, we gotta set it up.
All right. Bye-bye, guys. Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. So now, hey, Chuck, I am going to now, because we're still waiting for some of our next panel to get here. I am going to play the second part of the tour that we went on that Melanie Rose put together.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Melanie with 90210 Tours and 90210 Hunts. Right now we're at the Calvert Street Studios, which were the sound stages for many of the scenes for 90210. This is where the magic happens.
So where we're standing now, inside the Calvert Studio, is half of what was the producer's office, where Paul Wagner, who was the line producer of the show, would have his office here. And why I'm bringing you in here? Because this is where we did casting. Every character after season 1 was cast out of this room.
It's the warehouse when it was started by Chuck and the original company. And when I came in college, this housed all the interiors for California University. We're talking about all the big cafeteria stuff and all the classrooms. And we had the Walsh House in here, the Beach Apartment, Dylan McKay's interiors at his house. Lucky enough to be able to purchase another stage, which was now that says Genie there, but that became the Pitch Pit After Dark. In season 4, Josh Richland is talking to Brandon outside the Pitch Pit After Dark and drives out to the right and has his big fatal accident.
So when you're in a production, one of the things you don't want to do is move your trucks. It costs a lot of money. So we would try to always figure out, what can we do right here and shoot? So Slumber Party, the nightclub, this was it. Right here, the street, if you just pan to my left right here, this street is where Steve Sanders got into a drag race. When we did the rave episode in Euphoria, which was one of our highest rated episodes in the first 5 seasons, and the club was right across the way.
We are here at Roxbury Park. I'm with Charles Rosen, and can you guess what scenes were filmed here?
I'll give you a hint. Yep. This is the place exactly where we're standing, where Kelly and Dylan told Brenda they were an item. And we're in the middle of Beverly Hills. You'd think a show called Beverly Hills 90210 would film a lot in Beverly Hills. I can count it on one hand how many times we actually came here. But the reason we love this is because when they walked away, the camera turned and tilted and showed the skyline that is so predominant here, that is Century City and right behind us.
Well, that was a lot of fun. I know we have one more of those we'll try to get in, but hey, look who's here. Chip Johannesson.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy anniversary,
David
Chip.
Stemmel.
David Stemmel.
Got the power back.
Hank
And-
Van Egan.
Hey.
So we don't have Bethany, but we have,
Bethany and Michael.
that's right.
Great to see you three guys.
Great.
And, you know, in the telethon marathon world we had, we thought we would be doing this whole real serious panel about television and different things, and realized when all the actors kept, I want to come on. Oh my gosh, that we changed it. So what this is now is kind of me being Ralph Edwards and honoring you and thanking you for what you did for us by showing some of the stuff you did and reminiscing in that way. So I think we should start with Chip, was always the one we were going to start with first.
Right.
Larry, let's watch the scene that we talked about from Senior Poll. And then I think Larry has actually a fan wrote me something recently that really didn't want to talk to me. He wanted to talk to Chip. So we got Larry to read that for you.
This is the
so
clip
why don't we start right there, Pete?
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, hey, good looking now. Is this what you had in mind?
No, can I talk to you?
Hey, Dylan, don't go too far away. You're on deck. What's the matter?
When do I get to read your manuscript?
Well, I told you when it's ready.
Why is it done enough for Andrea to read?
Because she's my editor, and she's the one that got me into writing in the first place.
Then why don't you go to bed with her?
What are you saying?
I'm saying that I really resent being good enough to sleep with, but not good enough to show your writing to.
Okay, I will show it to you, all right?
Not because you value my opinion, only because you want me to shut up, right?
Hey, McKay, where are you going? Hey, I'll be right back. Kel, listen, I don't know what's going on with you, but I do value your opinion.
No. You value the way I look and the way I dress and the fact that I have sex with you, but you don't listen to a thing I say.
I don't listen to you? Who was I listening to when I picked up this ridiculous hat and this stupid cane? I don't want to have this picture taken anyway.
Fine, we won't take it.
I want to take it.
Well, then don't forget to smile for the camera.
Wow, I love that stuff. Chip, go ahead.
Senior Pole is just an episode that is more and more you look at, and we did a lot of second looks, that people just are really, especially given that there's kind of a Brenda Kelly dichotomy, you give all the ammunition or at least talking points to the people who love the Kelly-Dylan relationship, because there was never a moment that it was better than in Senior Pole. I think Larry has the confirmation.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a gal, Chelsea from Vancouver, and because there's obviously this huge debate about the triangle, who the end couple is. Is it Dylan and Brenda, or is it Dylan and Kelly? And the Dylan and Kelly fans, they have seized upon you, Chip. You are their man, because you seem to have written the scenes that they hold on to the most. And Chelsea said some interesting things in her letter to Chuck. And one of them was that you elevated the blonde, partly because you're married to a blonde, as you admitted, I guess, in some interview.
Yeah,
maybe
it was all her, man. She was the one.
Yeah. So, but they hold on to that. And there's so many other scenes in that where, she wrote like a 2-page thing. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But you are the Dylan Kelly writer that they all go back to when they're justifying their point, and they fight these points over in the fan forums all the time. So you're the most quoted guy on that stuff. I just want to know that they love you. And of course, I personally, enjoyed writing with you. As you know, we had a lot of fun together doing the weirder stuff, the cult stuff, and the Lucinda stuff. And it was just a pleasure to go back and look at this stuff with you.
I chose that scene because you were saying, like, what did we learn at 90210? What did we take away? What did we leave behind? That is like a very meat and potatoes kind of scene, right? Like Kelly shows up with something on her mind. She articulates it to him. He kind of presses back on it. And then at the end, she storms off with kind of a parting line. And I was struck by, I remembered Senior Pole kind of fondly because it goes from that scene, which has a lot of energy, into one that's much more poetic. When he catches up with her and explains what she means to him, it's not what we expect. He says that kind of for the first time in his life, he's happy with her. So it's this thing that not only is she wrong that he doesn't respect her, but there's something much bigger lurking behind the whole thing for him. So it's a matter of where the scene goes. But like for me, this scene was something I couldn't do at the beginning of the season when I was hired as a staff writer. I didn't know how to do that. And I was always trying to get to something artsier. And Chuck at one point, I remember, was like very frustrated. And he said, look, we were trying to do a Brenda Kelly scene as part of the same triangle. He said, look, this is what you do. What is Kelly thinking? Have her say that. What does that make Brenda think? Have her say that. Now, what is Kelly thinking? Have her say that. And it's the best advice I've ever gotten about how to write, because it just totally changes. It gives you everything you need to do a scene like that, the two-hander, which is why it shows that one. And that the energy that
I know, I had a few phrases, and one of them was, "What is the character's state of mind, and how does the audience know this?" And if it's almost like every scene. If you just go through that, it at least gives you a jumping off point.
State of mind is always
the thing I really took away from 90210. That's the same if you're writing anything. It's the basic two-hander, right? It's like the first building block you have to get. And so I like that scene because it's Kelly and Dylan, but also for me personally, it made me realize I'd sort of learned something in the first season there. I was beginning to understand what you have to do a little bit.
Well, thank you. And I just want to make clear, one of the things we wanted, two other people, we still hoping will come and join us, and Dan Addius couldn't be here today with us. But
We had Dan and David I ran into on Homeland again, in the last. David, you were like in the early seasons, but, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, bud.
Well, that's the point. All these people here did work on 90210 and then went on to win Emmys, nominated for Emmys. Hank just won. We're going to talk about Hank next, I think, because he just won an Emmy for Watchmen.
Right.
And it's hard for me to even imagine today. Chip's season on Homeland. Chip is the producer of Homeland, and he is Homeland. It was phenomenal. And you guys barely got recognized because there's so much content and different things come and go. So for anybody to be recognized in this era of the platforms, it really takes some skill. And you always had that, Hank.
Well, I was just thinking when I was watching all of this, I still remember meeting you on the Warner Studio lot in Hollywood. You had a writer room there, and I was so poor I had to buy a pair of pants to go meet you. And I'm going, why would he ever hire a guy who has no experience, who was very young and does a couple of indies and industrials and documentaries, and all of a sudden I'm on this show. For me it was a very important show because it was the beginning, so to speak. It was
right.
really
and we're going to want to have you back and really talk about some of the episodes that you did and look at it from a post-production editorial point of view. But I love the fact that when you decided to, and Hank did a lot of really serious episodes in those first 2 seasons, which one should we use? His suggestion was the one that we have here, right?
Which one is it, Chuck? It's
One Man and a Baby? We got it?
Let me see. No, I don't have it. I don't have that clip. Move on. Yes, it's not here.
Ay, caramba, the producer made a blunder. I am so sorry, Hank. But it's the one, fans, it. It's the one where they they fall out of the plane and they wrestle, and when they do the skydiving. And from a production standpoint, and David and Larry, who are producers, will really understand this, is that Duke Vincent told me that there was no way we could do what was on the page. There was no way anybody would do that for less than $30,000. They did it for a lot less than $30,000, maybe like $1,000. We got 2 takes. And so it makes the pride. But the beautiful way it was cut, and I'm sorry we can't share it.
Sorry about that.
But we will be doing a one when you come back with us when Biden is president.
I'll come back to you.
Come back. Yeah, great.
Who do you want to go to now? Do you want to show David Semmel his clip?
I think it's Dave and Larry time here.
All right, let's show David the clip that they picked out for you.
Hey, David Semmel. Remember me? The amateur youth director? The Rolling Stones roadie who threw Ray Pruitt 1P off the Rose Bowl stage? Get out of here! After that aired, that became my catchphrase, and I have you to thank. Man, I hear you're having a fantastic career, and I'm not surprised because look at the performance you got out of me. Now, people apparently want to know what I'm doing 30 years later. Well, I am finally off the road and living large with my old lady. I'm dog sitting for the lead singer of, you know who.
Honey, come and get it!
Get out of here!
I have to say, Larry, you seem a lot more content now that you're off the road.
I'm off the road. It's true. It's true. I am off the road.
Hey, can I just say a quick hello? And it actually dovetails into the question that I was asked by you guys in prep, to prep for this about, as Chip had said, what did I get? What did I take away from 90210? And like Hank, I did have a pair of pants, but unlike Hank, I did have a pair of pants, but like Hank, it was my first entree into 1 hour, and I have Charles and Larry, you guys, to thank for that. And it really was sort of the beginning of everything I learned. And as I look at the screen right now, what I think is even cooler than that is that Chip and I worked together on Homeland, as he said. Hank and I have worked together a number of times. He's saved my tail a number of times on a bunch of pilots. And Mike, hey, Cudlets, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
We've had.
Sorry, yes. Hi, Mike. How are you? Yeah.
Good.
He snuck in there.
Yeah.
We've had the good fortune to work together before, and as I think about all the things I've done, there's been a lot of seeding that began at 90210. So, as we all know, and as you kind of make your way through this business, it's sort of the relations you collect and hopefully lean on when you go off and do other things. So it just makes me realize in no small way, a lot of that started at 90210.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I say
David
something
also,
about David's? I think it was your first episode there. I remember hanging out with you behind, like where the Peach Pit After Dark place was, or behind there for some reason. I was just very aware that everything looked better that you were doing than our normal episodes did. You were like on longer lenses, and it was just like it looked beautiful, man. It was like it was.
Oh,
it
yeah,
was,
your
it was
first
immediately out of the gate better than.
Oh, that's very nice, Chip.
which was the first show? Was it Rayvon? Or was it Rayvon the first one, or?
No, it was Divas, I think.
Was it
that was
Divas?
after. No, Divas would have been after. Rayvon would have been before that.
It might have been Rayvon.
I think Rayvon would have been.
That's very nice of you to say, Chip. But the other thing that I really realized when I was thinking about it is that there were so many great directors that you brought into that show, Chuck. And my original role as associate producer, which was overseeing post-production, gave me I took any excuse I could find to come to set. And I basically just sat and watched all these great directors. And there were so many things that I took and learned from them about how they might rehearse, about how they would shoot. In the case of Jimmy Whitmore, I literally took from him how he said the word action. And I remember saying to him one time, I'd say, hey, why do you say action the different ways you do? Sometimes you say it really loud and excited, and sometimes you say it really quiet, and sometimes you say it maybe a little, lost or something like that. And he'd say, well, that's my last chance to communicate with the actor.
Yep.
I thought, that was kind of cool. I'll
That's
take that and
the
put that in my quiver.
Right. Well, we one of the directors that you would have admired and emulated. We have the clip from Stormy Weather, because even though we don't have,
I have 2 clips from Stormy Weather. I'm just going to take a shot and hope it's the right one.
You're a hypocrite. You're a con artist, and you're a pimp.
I see. So 10 minutes with the ever unstable Greg Jarrett, and suddenly I'm the devil incarnate?
You tried to get me to sleep with Dylan so you could get his money.
I tried to put you and McKay together because you belong together.
So you're not denying it.
It wasn't as though I had to twist your arm, Kelly.
When you told me that the new evolution could help Dylan open up, I thought you were talking about his soul, not his checkbook.
Enlightenment doesn't come cheap.
Neither do I.
Kelly, wait a minute. You've come so far, Kelly. Don't regress.
Don't tell me what to do.
Fine. You're free to go. But you'll be back.
Don't hold your breath.
Give my best to Dylan. Or is it Brandon?
Kelly, can you give me a hand over here, please? Please?
We just got 12 new referrals. It's going to be crazy here this weekend. Kelly.
That's good, yeah. I wanted to give the moment. Bethany Rooney, it's not just a man's club. Everybody who knows 90210 knows that we had a lot of female input. And Bethany, our other director who was going to be here, that was her scene and moving the camera. And she was there in the first 12, and that was from the 5th season. Speaking of the first 12, Michael Cudlitz was there from the first 12. And I really wanted Michael to be here. If you really realize and look at the disciplines, you've got a director, a writer, post-production represented, and Michael representing not just the crew, but the acting community. And there was when you popped on, everybody went. I saw a few people say Tony Miller, and I think we've got the one scene. Am I right, Pete? Do we got that one?
I have Cudlitz. Here we go. Let's hope this is the right one.
Yo, Miller. So when's poker game? Oh, I've been meaning to talk to you about that, Walsh. There might not be one. Why not? Well, I heard through the grapevine that one of the most gorgeous girls in this school doesn't have a date for prom. And I think I'm gonna ask her.
Miller, I thought you said you didn't want to go to the prom.
Well, I did with this girl.
Who is she?
Your sister. Brenda. I hear you're not going to the prom. Say it isn't so.
Oh, who cares? I don't know why everybody makes such a big deal out of it anyway.
Well, me either. So how about going with me?
What?
Look, I'll go all out. Tux, limo, corsage, the whole 9 yards.
I don't know.
Let's just go and have a good time. I love to dance.
Yeah? You too. All right, I'll go with you, Tony.
You will?
That's amazing.
That is every man,
I don't know,
right?
I don't
Every
know if
guy
I
has
love
gone
the
through
hair
that
or
at
the
some
shirt
point.
more.
And Michael was building the sets when he was doing that scene, and we talked to Betty Reardon. Betty will be on in the last hour talking a little bit about Paul, and made the point of something you said, Michael, that we just were so admiring of you, both being the working guy and a prospective actor, that whenever you needed to do an audition, my producing partner Paul Wagner would just say goodbye, go Mike, and I remember then seeing you left 90210 and then going to a movie at the Writers Guild Theater and sitting down to watch A River Runs Through It, and it's, what do you mean Michael Cutlitz is in this? And there he was doing scenes with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, I think, right? So really,
He
really
wasn't only in it, Chuck. He was fantastic, and he held his own.
Absolutely. And when I think of you guys, I mean, one of the reasons I wanted you, Bethany, certain people I think bring me just a lot of pleasure, a lot of thank you, a lot of people who just always seemed happy to hear from me or talk to me and stuff, and it meant a lot. And I wanted to honor you guys and Bethany and Dan and others too, but you guys came on the show, so I'm honoring you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Guys.
And care very much, and thank you very much for being part of this 90210 world that we're in.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Okay, bye-bye to these guys. We are about to blow the roof off this place because you can hang out here, Chip.
Chip, you can hang out. You want to hang out?
I can go.
Oh, no, he's gone. Oh, he's there. And who else is here? A standing ovation.
And David Hamill, which was his first director.
Jamie Walters.
Hey, Jamie.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Jamie. We wanted to start this whole segment with you singing Why? And because it's one of my favorites. James Eckhouse actually directed it. It is so fucking great, but we can't do it because who will kick it off?
We have Jamie Walters here, but Facebook will shut it down.
Yeah, it's unfair. But so we can't do your music, but we wanted to focus so much saying hello to you, but also just we were fans of your music. Every single one of us,
Yeah.
And
I appreciate that. And it's good to see you guys. I mean, it's been forever, and I see you guys, you look great. Everybody looks great.
Yeah, that's right.
Likewise.
David, do you remember directing Jamie at the Rolling Stones show? That's why I kind of kept you here to see.
Oh my God, are you kidding? That was amazing. I mean, to watch Jamie play, in front of the empty but cavernous Rose Bowl on the Rolling Stone stage after they had played there the night before. I can only imagine what it was like for him, because it was a hell of a thrill for me.
Yeah, me too. It was crazy. I mean, I that was definitely a high point of the show for me, being that episode. And as crazy as it was shooting at the Rose Bowl and kind of our guerrilla filmmaking that we were doing at that episode, but to be up on that stage and to walk around, and it was like being in church or something, being on that stage, and their instruments were set up, and that was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was a very exciting, one of my favorite Dave Semmel shots, in fact. And we were talking about it. We talked earlier in one of the early podcasts, Jamie, is when you and Tori run out of the tunnel at the Rose Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And it's time to exactly them opening, and he had the visual there, and it's very exciting. It really, at that point in time, before a lot of Photoshop and things, that you just wanted to put something down on the thing that said, we were here, and we were here. And it was David's guerrilla idea to do that guerrilla filmmaking that really allowed us to shoot while this was going on. And nobody really bothered you while you were doing it, Dave, did they?
No, it was fun. I mean, I think people were kind of shocked to see us, but excited, you know.
Right.
Well, I will say, you know, there was one part where I had to go because I think it was Ian, and I can't remember who he was with, but they were dancing kind of in the mosh pit that was part of the show.
Right.
And I didn't know this in advance, but because I was running from location to location to try to, like Jamie says, you know, get these shots guerrilla style. And I didn't know, but there was about a 6'5", 240-pound guy who was assigned to me that was sort of clearing out anybody that was in the way, which was kind of fun.
Yeah, you're like, people are really giving me a lot of respect here. This is awesome.
All right,
you're in the Rose Bowl. You're in the Rose Bowl. You had your own pulling guard. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna say goodbye to David and Chip and just hang out with Jamie for a little bit and talk about some of your music and all that. All right,
guys.
Goodbye, David. Goodbye, Chip.
Goodbye, Chip.
Yeah, Jamie. It's awesome to have you here. You're very hard to find. I don't know if you know that.
Well, thanks for doing the work and finding me and getting me on here. I'm really not hard to find. I'm literally in public all the time, but
fair enough. Right. Yeah. How is that? I'm sorry. How is all that going for you with the fires out here and all that?
Yeah, I work for the Los Angeles City Fire Department for the LAFD. And while we're a large department, they're able to send like 30 companies out of the city to these different fires, but we still maintain our coverage here in LA. So I've been lucky. I primarily have been staying in the Los Angeles area, which is great for me because, you know, I live with my kids. I have teenage daughters that I live with, and it's nice to not have to go away for long periods of time. So, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's this? I mean, listen, man, your music is absolutely incredible. I still listen to it all the time, and I just think the world of you, man. You're just so great on the show. I'm wondering what the experience was like for you, playing the music, being the artist on the show, and all that.
You know, we're talking about a different time, really. And back then, I just remember that it was constantly this battle of, are you an actor or are you a musician? You know, and nowadays it's like if you're not doing that, then you're crazy, right? Like,
yes,
you're supposed to have an album out and be attacking this from every angle. But, you know, I got to give it to Darren Spelling for casting me on The Heights originally, having success with the music on that show. And even though the show didn't end up lasting very long, he brought me on to 90210, and I was able to carry my music with me there. And I loved it. I mean, the Peach Pit and kind of ending most episodes with a song and then a video as the credits ran. It was exciting for me, you know. I mean, that's my love, you know. And so to be able to play songs that, you know, I've written or co-written with people and reach that kind of audience was just amazing, you know. And I still, to this day, I mean, it's been years and years, and I still what an experience, you know. And especially, like, you know, my life changed a lot, and, you know, I went into a completely different line of work, but people still come up to me, and guys that I work with, you know, big burly firemen and stuff, and I go, dude, that How Do You Talk to an Angel song, you know, or like, you know, I remember, you know, going out with, you know, my date and listening to that song. So, yeah, I just have the best memories from that time period, and so glad that I was able to have those experiences, create that music, get it out there. And like you said, you know, I hope that there's people like yourself, people that still enjoy it. For the most part now, I still play, but it's mostly like at home. I'm teaching my kids a lot about music, and you know, I got 4 kids, and they all play a little bit. We have piano, we have a drum set, we have guitars, bass. We have a little family band here, you know.
The Walters family band, absolutely. You know, that sounds great. How old are your kids, Jim?
They are 13, 15, 17, and 22.
Perfect.
Maybe we can arrange here one day virtually. Now everything's virtually. a Jamie Walters concert virtually for all of
with your kids. Yeah, I love to see it. Yeah. I was going to ask you who you jammed with. I thought, oh, he probably goes, at a smoky bar or a barn somewhere. Your own room with your children. That's a dream. That's a wonderful thing.
It is. I'm sorry.
Someone's asking, Hold On was the best. The song Hold On becomes very important on the show of 90210, especially with the stuff with you and Tori. Tell me about writing Hold On and what it was like to be performing that song on the show.
I remember working at 8295 Sunset Boulevard, which was the studio that I would record at. And I had a little office there, and it was kind of my writing room. And I remember very clearly kind of coming up with that lick in the beginning of Hold On and starting to kind of craft this song, and then working with Steve and Stephanie Tyrell. And Stephanie, she's passed away, but man, did we have a connection. And she was just great at really taking my emotions and helping me craft my ideas and my lyrics into a more kind of commercial form, and that's a gift that people are good at that. And some people are not so good at that. And she was really able to help me with that. And then Steve, his connections, Barry Coughing, there are a lot of guys involved over there that really, I was a kid, I was like 21, 22 years old. I was learning a lot about the business, and I hadn't grown up here or kind of had any mentors. So it was just great. Like I remember recording that song. Holy cow, man. That actually sounds pretty good,
Yeah. We did a lot of times on the show. We did it at least 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
That was the one we played the most, I think.
Yeah.
Larry, it's probably the song I get asked to play the most by people for, people call me and say, hey, I'm going to ask my girlfriend to marry me, or,
nice.
and people reach out to me sometimes, and when it's possible, I love being a part of something like that.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's very awesome.
I mean, Jamie was the blue collar hope of the show. I mean, that was, when we brought him in there, that was the whole idea. When you're talking about Stephanie Tyrell, I was thinking you also worked with Carolyn McWilliams, who also passed away. She played Luann, your mother. I was wondering, how was that to work with her? I mean, do you remember her?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember her. She was funny. I felt like we had this little connection, kind of like that we didn't really fit in with the rest of the characters on the show. And we exchanged a lot of little behind the scenes jokes with each other. And
absolutely. You guys were Rosita. You were,
and the funny thing was, she was married to Michael Keaton. I mean, she was not a trailer trash.
No slouch. Yeah,
right. She was a good actress. She played that trailer trash thing, because we've been looking at those episodes, and she really, you guys together, are hilarious, really.
Yeah. All right, Jamie.
Mary, I found out about her, that she had passed away at the first time I went to the Venice Farmers Market, and I was crossing the street with someone, and I told her I was 90210, and it was her. That woman I was crossing the street with remained a good friend, and she was her best friend.
Right.
She was, and Luann's best friends.
You don't have to do this, but this keeps popping up in the board. Would you sing the chorus of Hold On?
Oh shit, he's gonna do it.
Twist his arm. Twist that man's
arm. Oh man, I'm getting chills now. Jesus.
Let's see.
We were so excited to see this the first time you played this. We couldn't believe the gift.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to see you ever sad. And everything I've got, you can have. So will you take my hand and feel how close I am? 'Cause there ain't nothing I won't do for you. Hold on to
you feel a little stronger. Hold on to me. Hold on, everything's gonna be alright. Just hold on to me tonight.
All right.
Oh, man. That's fantastic. I like the version of it, too. The phrasing was great.
Thanks for letting me do that.
No, thanks for doing that.
Jesus.
All right, Jamie, we're going to say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Can you come back again?
I got your number.
Come back.
Yeah,
we got to go. We got to do the deep dive on
really
the character.
fun. It was great to see you guys, honestly.
Awesome, man.
We heard you play hockey with Cameron Bancroft.
What's that?
We heard that did you used to play hockey with Jason and Cameron Bancroft?
Yeah.
I never realized you were a hockey player, but you're from Massachusetts, that's right.
Yeah, it's in my blood.
Yeah, they were very fond of you.
I still play out here. I played for the LAFC has a team. I played for them for a long time.
Oh, great.
It's fun.
Yeah, I played too.
That went over very well, by the way. Goosebumps. This is, that seriously made my week. So thank you so much, man.
You got it. We'll see you guys again soon. Take care of yourself.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh my!
That was amazing.
Absolutely.
That's one of my favorite songs, actually. All right, so here is what we're gonna.
I'm gonna go turn on another light. It got night. We do this.
No, we don't usually.
Daylight savings time.
But listen, while we do that, we have another one of these "Where Are They Now" pieces. So here we go.
There we go. Hello, Director Roy Randolph here. How are you all? It's been a while. I should update you on what I've been up to. Well, I am now Professor Emeritus at the Roy Randolph Royal Academy of Acting, or RA, as we like to call it, because everyone knows you can't have drama without drama. Yes, and I was fortunate enough to marry a fantastic lady who's titled. Her father is a Baron. So we live on the baronial estate, which is fantastic because I get to direct productions of Shakespeare in the grounds. I call it Shakespeare in the field, and it's fantastic because we have battles, we have horses, and those peasants who are ploughing, they're really ploughing. It works so well. Well, I just want to give a big shout out to all of the marvelous people that I met in Beverly Hills all those years ago. Happy anniversary to all of you, to all of us. And I hope you're having a great time. This is Roy Randolph signing off.
Yeah, Roy, well done. I mean, I'm glad he got dressed up.
Everybody that's still
he didn't add the part that I think Brenda did one of the productions there. When he wrote me an email, he told me that she had done Kate from Taming the Shrew, and actually Dylan had come to the opening.
That's what I heard. Dylan McKay went to see him perform.
Yeah.
I know we are beyond 7 o'clock now, right? We pushed through 7 o'clock, but I want to let everybody know, you all think that the surprises are over.
No, they're not.
No, there's a massive surprise, and I see you waiting. Just chill there because we got a couple of more things to do. You guys are going to be blown away by the other surprise. So, okay, so Chuck, we have a few memorials to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to turn it to the people who couldn't be with us tonight and have to be with us in spirit. And we did a couple together, and we had so many different ways we planned this out, so many other people we wanted to give tribute to. But for our first go-round here are 4 people to be remembered.
Okay.
Well, Aaron had such dimension as a human being. He grew up poverty-stricken, and by the time I met him and any of us knew about him, he was vastly wealthy, somewhat mysterioso, and very idiosyncratic, and the Sid Aquanon of television at the time. He had more shows on than anybody. They called ABC Aaron's broadcasting company. When I think of Aaron, I have little tiny memories like him doing this Texan thing where he would take a bottle of Coca-Cola and jam the peanut shells into it for the salt, I guess. That was like a thing he had grown up with. And then he had like a whole room of amazing pinball machines that were all designed by his wife, Candy, that had the casts of all his shows. I mean, he really knew how to live it up right. He also was so exacting. He would have handwritten notes with turned down pages on every script. And mind you, at a certain point, he had like 9 shows on the air. And he just was so detail oriented. And he used to always say to me, the key to television is attention to detail. A lot of people might not remember, but I thought he was absolutely hilarious. He had such a winsome personality. He was definitely a titan, and he was somewhat intimidating to people, but he was also so egalitarian and great. I was his assistant as my first job there before I ended up helping him, being one of the heads of development on 90210 and Melrose. But when I was first answering his phones, he would say to me, get me the head of current programming at X network. And if that person wasn't available, he'd so happily talk to their assistant, who was just completely like a deer in the headlights. But he used to always say that classic adage of, well, you better be nice to them on the way up because you'll meet them on the way down. And he was so genuine about that. I always really took that lead from him.
Danielle, they're talking about Darren Spelling, and now we have Jessica Klein talking about Steve Wasserman.
He was a crier and a laugher, and in the show and in life, and he was also a more is more kind of person. This was not somebody who was. It's funny you say that he was well dressed, because that came later in life. Steve was it was funny hearing you talk about the theme song. One night, I don't remember how this happened, but Steve used his own money to pay for a time on a mixing stage somewhere, and to get John Davis to sit with us, because he persuaded me to write the lyrics to the 90210 song. And he hired somebody to sing it, and we recorded it with John, and it was going to be a whole big thing, except it wasn't a whole big thing, and the tape went into a pocket somewhere, and nothing ever came of it. I don't know whether he even told anybody about it. Did he tell you, Chuck? Did he tell you, Larry?
This is
no. I want to hear it now. This is the lost tapes of Steve Wasserman.
I want to hear the song.
I want to hear the song. And we're running around Beverly Hills.
The thing about Steve, I remember Steve used to, we would write these episodes together. He'd write with Chuck. Lots of times when Steve would be lying on the couch, and he'd act the whole thing out, and I would just type, and he'd act it out, and then I'd say, okay, give me a minute. And there would be pages that then I would clean up. I'd give it to him and he'd say, yeah, this is great. It was from Steve that I learned that when a producer says to you, okay, I'm just going to give you the bad version, and they act out the scene, that when you're the freelancer or the writer on the staff or whatever, write down exactly what they say verbatim. Because if you give it back to them, they'll think that you're a genius, because you just wrote what they had in their head. But there's a picture of the outside of the studio, and they had painted over the door, one of the back doors that opened up, Wasserman and Sons for something. And there's Steve standing in his with his leather jacket outside, and that to me that's Steve Wasserman. But, we spent 7 years on the show, and it was, we had some good times and we had some terrible times. But it was our marriage and our job. And it was a family drama and a workplace drama for us. 90210 was very important to Steve Wasserman, and thank you very much for remembering him here. I'm sure he's smiling somewhere, because he certainly remembers all of you.
Very nice. And then, of course, Chuck, we have Betty Reardon talking about Paul Wagner, who was integral in Beverly Hills 90210.
He was a fixer. And he knew how to deal with people. I think the cast looked at him as a father figure, somebody who could mediate, somebody who could give them advice. and he was good with management in that he knew what they wanted and needed and knew how to talk to the cast and get them to do, the cast and the crew, and get them to do what needed to be done. He was good at holding your hand, telling you, he always told the truth. You knew if he was telling you something that was correct. And he cared about people, and he cared about the people that he worked with, and he wanted them to succeed. And he kept everybody congenial. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why the cast and crew are still friends. They still keep up with each other. And the 10 years, they were family, and they still feel like they're family. That was because of him.
Very nice. Now it's going to get a little bit tougher. So here is our friend Josh Taylor speaking on Luke Perry.
Luke and I hit it off right from the get-go. I remember the first day I was on the set, and we were sitting there getting to know each other, sitting at the picnic table there for lunch. We were on vacation, and we just, I don't know, it was just right away, and I really liked him so much. I attended the memorial. It was wonderful. It was great to hear some of his old friends that he grew up with talk, and it fit in to the man he became as the guy I knew on the day I met him on 90210, and he was just an extraordinary guy, and damn it, way too young, and he had a lot more things to do, both acting wise and society wise. He was a class act. I said at the time, damn, I didn't realize that would happen. I'm starting to, as cool as Dylan McKay was, Luke Perry was even cooler. There was a goodness about him. He just had a thing about him that was incredibly special, and not just as an actor, as a human being. And wow, the more I talk about it, the more I realize how deep that is. I remember a few scenes. I do remember one of our favorites toward the end was this scene where we sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" together, and we just laughed our behind off. Listen, we would crack each other up singing "Take me out to the ball game." You know, he was such. Oh man, I didn't realize. God, he was incredible. He was just a wonderful, wonderful human being. And now that I'm flashing back to the bottom line, is I came to respect him so much, and I came to really consider him a friend. And even though, you know, we didn't see each other, I think we ran into each other once after that period of time, I never stopped thinking of Luke as a friend of mine. And hopefully, and I do probably think that he did the same thing, but it just, there's a really deep, wonderful spot inside me that contains Luke Perry.
Very nice stuff. Now, this is going to be a bombshell for a lot of people that are just watching this, but someone else is going to come on here and talk about Luke Perry, and we haven't seen her in a very long time. Hello, Noli.
Noli.
Hi.
Hi, Noli. How are you? I've seen you since you were like.
Hi, Pete. Nice to meet you. Very.
It's great to see you.
Hustle. You could be an investigative reporter or private detective.
I know. Thank your husband so much. You know, I kind of finally found his law firm and went through that. But yeah, it was all worth it to see your face. It's amazing to us. I mean, you brought, we've been looking back at these episodes and just looking at your work, as a young girl, you were doing it and you were so integral in it. I think there's so many questions we're going to ask you once Pete goes it, but it's just great to have you here.
We are going to dive, for everybody who's watching this, we're going to dive deep with Noli in a couple of weeks, right? We're going to do Hazardous to Your Health. You're going to come join us. And David Hayward, who you guys all saw earlier, is going to be on that with us.
And James Whitmore.
Now, Noli, you were so young when you came into Beverly Hills 90210. First question, what was your experience like on that show?
Well, when the show first started, I was pretty young. I think I was maybe in 3rd grade. So, Brenda was like losing her virginity. I wasn't allowed to watch. But by the time I was in season 4 and season 5, so by the time I was on it, I had seen the show. But I wasn't like a super fan because I just grew up in the industry and I thought like actors were just normal people like me. I was super excited because it was a group of young, cool people. And I was a junior high. I was like 12 maybe when I was on the show, 12, 13. So it was really fun for me. And the girls especially were so awesome. I thought they were the coolest thing ever. They were so nice to me. I remember like Jennie would come in my dressing room. She'd like look at my yearbook and like pick out the cute boys, or Tori's dressing room was right across from mine. So she would talk to me about what she was doing when she was my age. I think she was actually trying to corrupt me, really. She was so fun. Everybody was so nice, really. Playing video games backstage, all the fun things. Yeah.
Well, now the tough part. Luke Perry.
Yeah.
What was it like?
Well, he was one of the nicest people I ever worked with. Not just worked with, but in life. And everything that everyone has said about him is true. He was one of the kindest people. He was so sweet, so kind, so generous, so welcoming. He was really protective of me, and he treated me like I really was his little sister. And he was also really funny and fun and goofy. He was a lot of fun. He would do things like if he was off camera and it was my close-up, he would just try so hard to make me laugh. Make me break scene, and I was not having anything to do with it. He would ad-lib a lot, and I was always like, I'm just here to do my lines. Yeah.
It's so good to see you after all these.
I was wondering, when you were doing the show, did you realize where the story was going, that there was a scam with Suzanne and Kevin, or did you have any sense of that?
I sort of always did. And I think that children and animals, they can sense when something's off, right? They can smell BS. And even I feel like Carrie, who played my mom, she and I had a real relationship. I thought that was true, but I think that Erica always sensed that something was off. And it was in the writing. So there would just be like little bits they'd throw in here and there, and you kind of think, well, maybe, but then they'd reel you in. And I think that the relationship between Erica and Dylan really that made the audience believe in the family and not the scam. Yeah. But I always thought it was a scam.
I'm curious, Noli, if you ever did feel, I know Erica and Dylan were brother and sister. Did you kind of feel that with Luke as well? A little brotherly? Yeah.
I mean, he always treated me like I was really his little sister. He was super protective. He was always trying to help me out, whether it was on set or in real life. And he would also just totally, I remember, because I was in junior high, he would say stuff to me like, are you shaving your legs now? And I was so embarrassed, like, oh my God, leave me alone.
Yes. There's a lot of episodes we can cover with you, and we'll do that. But I want to let everyone know, Todd H. made this beautiful tribute to Luke Perry. If you thought the first one was touching, wait till you see this one. Noli, thank you so much for being here. We're going to see you in a couple of weeks.
That'd be great, Noli.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's not me they're coming out to see. It's this character that I play. Yeah, you know, a year ago I was shoveling asphalt, and a year from now I could be doing it again.
Luke is a super supportive, loving, stand-up guy.
What a genuine, classy young man.
One of the gentlest souls.
He was a very singular human being. I just adored him.
He was a wonderful man.
He had that quality that certain people have where when you feel like you're talking to him, he was 100% focused on you.
He did not have a bad bone in his body. He was just the kindest, most gracious, humble, funny. He was absolutely the best. I absolutely adored him.
We got to see each other one last time. It was the same Luke, the same amazing, loving, kind, funny, crazy Luke.
Luke was a writer's dream. He pushed you to do better, and then he delivered on screen. It was a wonderful collaboration.
Luke just wanted to go. He wanted to go. He wanted to act. He wanted to tell this story. He was an artist, and he went for it in that show. It was beautiful. He was beautiful.
He loved the work. He loved being an actor, and he loved finding the best he could in a scene. And
he committed to things, and he went for it, and he wasn't afraid to just go for it.
He always was down to earth. He really was a serious actor.
He was just so thoughtful. I mean, everything he did, he really worked on. He thought about. There was nothing casual in his work ethic.
Infectious energy, he was just this incredible, warm, generous guy.
I went into the makeup trailer and Luke was there. And usually he and I would share some banter, we'd talk, and I could see he was already in the moment. He was already preparing for what was coming up. And I was like, wow, it was really, really amazing. And so I think he inspired everybody around him.
Luke was in the moment with every moment played. He was living and breathing this, wanting it to be something that we'd be talking about 30 years later, and he made it so.
He was a really, really good actor, but being an actor, I don't think was the be-all and end-all of his life. He was a good man.
I asked him something like, well, so, what are you going to do with all this money you're making? And he said, I'm going to buy my dad a truck. Oh, my God, this kid, he's so grounded.
And it was just that selfless quality that he had, that he wanted to just celebrate everybody else's joy.
While I was waiting to do my screen test with Tori that day, I was given one of the dressing rooms. As I was going in there, Luke sort of pulled me aside and said, hey, I know this is it's pretty stressful, but you're going to kill it. It gives me shivers thinking about it, that he would just take the time to do that.
Luke Perry was very, very friendly with me, and we got on very well while I was working. He was a good support.
Luke, knowing his background, to be who he was, and to be as humble and kind and generous was astounding. You say his name and I tear up. He was just an incredible human being.
He fought so hard to look like the guy who loved horses all the time. He wanted everybody to know he was the real guy, but he didn't need to do that because he just was the real guy.
Such a lovely, charming, wonderful human being, so this series, you just miss him.
Amazing. He was amazing.
I know he is deeply missed by so many.
He's missed.
He was a really special guy. People that got a chance to know him, they're lucky.
He wore his heart on his sleeve, and he was a warm, kind, loving guy. Had it all.
He was a miracle of a person.
When my time here is up, I don't want to look back and see that I didn't do anything. And by that I mean I didn't have any effect on anything else. I see a lot of people that let their life happen to them, and I want to happen to my life. I don't want my life to happen to me.
Really nice. I can't say enough as a fan.
Good job, Todd.
Yeah, Todd, wonderful work. I can't say enough about just Luke Perry as a fan, guys. I remember we had Brian on here, and he said that there are times when he just thinks about Luke. And then Josh Taylor also said that. And I think as a fan, there are times when I just think about Luke, a scene, a thing, and very touching. I mean, I know you guys had some beautiful things to say about him in the video. You want to say anything else, Larry?
Well, story-wise, the one story I'll tell fairly quickly here is Chuck allowed me to write that hazardous to our health episode, which goes to Mexico, and I kind of added this whole pirate stuff to it, to kind of imbue it with some stuff, and Chuck encouraged me. And so I actually had in the climax a sword fight, and I remember going to have to talk to Luke about the script, and I always thought the sword fight was going to be cool, so I had no idea, but I was worried that Luke would think it was really dumb or whatever. And he went through the stuff with me, and he gave me a couple of notes, and he didn't mention the sword fight. So I did something I don't normally do. I figured I'd ask him. I said, so the sword fight's okay? He said, oh, yeah, that's cool.
Oh, very, very cool. Chuck, do you have any moments like that with Luke?
Yeah, about 5 years worth of that. It was the morning calls where he would discuss what he's doing that day, and nobody cared more. Nobody gave more to it. And I know when I left the show, he wrote on the cast signed a script, and his is the one I remember. He said, you and I, we sparred a lot, and I'd go through it again in a heartbeat. And it meant a lot. And I feel the same way about Luke. I only saw him a few times afterward. We had a party here in Venice with my kids. You met my daughter Lindsay, for those who are watching, and the other kids were here, and they all grew up on the set, and they wanted to see the cast. And so Jennie brought over her daughters, and Jason and Gabrielle Cutlets, and Luke was here. And I did not know if Luke was going to show, and I hadn't seen him except in a rabbit uniform, and once as a little league coach briefly. And he and I really connected over politics. He was very astute, and he was very close to Sherrod Brown, and we both thought he was the senator from Ohio. And Sherrod Brown's father was his doctor growing up. And that's how kind of Luke was. If you were related to him in any way, you were a friend for life. And I hope you considered me that.
I do think so. Listen, guys, we're wrapping up. I want to tell everybody we have 31 episodes of the Beverly Hills 90210 show, videocast, podcast. You can stream it on YouTube. You can get all of the episodes wherever you get podcasts if you prefer to drive and listen to it. And we have a lot more coming up down the line. So stay tuned to us, and we will always keep you what's going on. I wanted to say to both of you, I am so thankful for this opportunity to do this with you. The last couple of weeks, I felt like I might have been in the writer's room at 90210 for a minute as we were plotting and planning this
Super Show.
Yeah.
You still have one more thing to share, though, right?
Absolutely. We're not gonna go out on a. You should know if it's gonna be. We're not going out on a memorial field.
Chuck, I think it's really important to say you fought for this show. The first 5 years, every which way. The cast knows it. The crew knows it. You fought for this show. The reason why we're all celebrating is because of that fight that you went through, whether it be the network or whatever came to your plate. You are always fighting on behalf of the show, and as of this moment, still fighting for the music and all that stuff. And I just appreciate your fight. I'm so thankful, and to see you be a part of this with you has just been absolutely a blessing for me. And Larry taking the road less traveled, maybe with some of those great stories that we never would have seen. The fans, of course, appreciate that. And this goes out to like Jessica and Karen and Chip and every other writer going all the way to season 10. I'll even give some props and love there because they made our world pretty important. We talked a lot about that earlier. And I want to also say my wife, Christina, made me even a bigger super fan on this show. And this has been a little bit of a love letter to her. So absolutely love you. And thank you for encouraging me to do this podcast. Now, we are not going to end on that. We were talking about characters and where they went, right? So we're going to end on this person who is still out there.
Hello, Kelly. I'm supposed to wish you and all your friends a happy anniversary or something. Well, happy anniversary. I hope you're happy now. Oh, Kelly, why did you lose faith? You know, my good friend Jeffrey in New York, rest his soul, he's dead now. Before that whole Dylan double-cross fiasco, had told me about a real estate magnate in New York who was looking for a new wife. I should have taken his offer, except he had a reputation for not paying. So when Dylan came in, I thought, well, okay, we'll go for this one. Because you were special, Kelly. But that fellow Donald, he was really looking for a soulmate, and I thought perhaps you could have been the one. You could have been the first lady, Kelly, but it wasn't to be. I hope you're happy now.
That is so crazy.
Alan Toy is so amazing. Thank you, Alan Toy, for that.
Alan Toy gets the last word.
Yes. Hey, don't forget to plug my website.
I'm sorry. Hang on. Wait, hold up. Hey,
since we are plugging everyone's
we are plugging a lot of things. Before we leave here, where is it? LarryMullen.com. This is Todd H.
Todd H. Yes. Todd H. What great editing. Yes.
The Beverly Hills 90210 Hunts. That was really, really great. What else do we have here? I don't even have LarryMullen.com, but it's just
it's very simple. LarryMullen.com. You can find all the stuff there, all my books.
And we have so much merchandise at Beverly Hills 90210 Show.
I need more. Well, we did it, Chuck. We did it.
Everybody is selling something. Everybody's selling something but one person.
That's oh, you sold it. No, you sold your daughter.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys.
Okay, guys. Okay. Show. We got it in at 7:30. We thought it 3.5 hours. You guys did a great job. It was so much fun doing this. It's we can all go back to our normal lives now. And
right.
Wow.
Thank you, Peter. That was
thanks, Peter. Thanks, Melanie. Thank you, Melanie.
And Melanie and Lily and Connie and all the people that usually help us out every week. Thank you very much. Sherry Weiss, who interviewed somebody.
We haven't seen that one yet. We could, the Nick stuff. Yeah.
All right. So now Wednesday, we're not going to be live. This was a lot of work. So Wednesday, we recorded 2 really awesome episodes for everybody. One with Tom Victor, who was a production designer. He talked all about the sets. I mean, I was obsessed with that conversation. And then also Larry and Perry Samerton and I, who's going to be with us more regularly now, which is very exciting. We talked with Molly Campbell about 90210 fashion. So that's a really fun one too. So make sure Wednesday, we're going to drop both of those episodes for you, and we'll catch you soon. We'll be back live on October 14th when we're talking about hazardous to your health, and Noli will be there, and David Hayward will be there, and James Whitmore Jr. will be there. And you never know, given this show, who else might pop up. So
right for Tiffany.
Thank you. That's what I was referring to. Yes.
Tiffany, I think it's Tiff. I haven't said anything about it's time, Tiff. Come on, come on, talk to us about hazardous to health.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody. Happy anniversary.
Bye. Thank you very much, everyone.